We don't have much ammunition, Carlos declared, raising his pistol up. We gotta get back to the lodge, Nick suggested, realizing they were outnumbered. He quickly turned around when he heard footsteps from behind them. They're behind us! The group stayed in the circle as they began to fire their weapons in different directions, shooting whatever walkers they could see in their sights. They would have to make their weapons last, otherwise they'd be using them as melee weapons. Lee turned back towards the ski lodge and panicked when two walkers were heading towards him. He aimed at the closest walker and did not hesitate to fire. The first he shot fired between his eyes, and the second shot hit the walker in the forehead. Damn it, he cursed, as he ran towards the ski lodge, looking back over his shoulder to see Nick firing at the walker before running away. He aimed his weapon for the second time when seeing at least 6 walkers making his way over towards him, looking for a fresh, tasty meal. He fired his remaining bullets at the 6 walkers, managing to kill 5 in the process. He attempted to fire more and finish off the last walker, but discovered that his gun did not fire and rather clicked. It took him a couple steps back as the walker moved on to him. A gunshot was suddenly fired, followed by a closest walker collapsing to the ground with a sickening thud. Lee then looked over to meet his savior from death, who was none other than Carlos. Run! Go! Carlos ordered. Suddenly jumped back when he felt a walker grabbed onto him from behind. He slowly cheated death and shot it, and quickly ran before any of them got the jump on him, shooting the walker before leaving. Keep moving! Get to the lodge! Lee was about to follow him, but froze in fear a few steps when he was seeing the walker had emerged from behind a bulldozer. He did not have time to wait. Without thinking, he charged towards the walker and shoved it out of its way, knocking it to the ground. He continued charging towards the ski lodge, but froze in the tracks. When he spotted Nick fighting with the walker, struggling to hold it back, he held it both in his hands to keep it from biting him. Nick! Please help me! Nick begged, unable to hold the walker attack any longer. Lee was about to charge over and assist him, but his eyes met with the entrance of the ski lodge and spotted Walter merely startling towards Nick. He aimed his Glock 17 towards Nick, but hesitated for a moment as he tried to decide if he could save him or not. Lee could only watch and pray that Walter would not wait too long and let a walker bite him, or shoot Nick in revenge of killing his partner. A few seconds passed, and all of a sudden, Walker moved in on Nick, taking a bite from his neck. He clutched his neck as he collapsed to the ground. Nick! Lee yelled, shocked to see what just happened. He ran towards the other members of the group, and by the looks of his face, he was angry. Carlos turned his attention towards him for a moment, noticing there was someone missing. Where's Nick? You piece of shit! Lee yelled, punching Walter directly in his face, blackening one of his eyes in the process. Lee, get inside, protect the others, go, Carlos ordered, after seeing more walkers approaching the entrance. He, Carly, and Walter were the only ones with extermination left, and they all had fired the remaining bullets in order to kill the walkers. Lee was about to leave, but remembered Carly was still out there and turned back to her. Carly, come on! Lee, don't worry about me, Carly reassured him as he was about to run back and get her. Go! Lee hesitated for a moment, but remembered he had no choice than to get back inside, since he was all out of ammunition, and ran back to the ski lodge. When he was inside, the ski lodge was now dark and without any power, making it difficult for him to see in. He ran towards a small living room where Clementine, Alvin, Rebecca, and Sarah were watching from inside. Clementine ran towards the guardian and hugged him. He was glad she was not hurt. Lee, are you okay? Rebecca inquired, with a hint of worry in her voice. Before Lee had a chance to answer, a gunfire was shot back outside, but it did not sound like any of the guns they owned. Instead, it sounded like automatic rifles being fired. What the hell? Alvin wondered, running towards the window to investigate what was happening. Lee and Clementine also quickly ran towards the window to see what was going on. All the attacking walkers had fell down one by one. Automatic gunfire continued to fill the air. Near the ski lodge, Carlos suddenly turned around and a walker almost sneaked behind him again, but before he could fire, someone else had beat him to it. The last walker collapsed and out of the woods. 4 figures emerged from the woods, marching their way towards the ski lodge. All of them were carrying AK-47s, but the leader of the group was unarmed. Carlos finally gasped to see it was William Carver, who approached the group with his men following behind. Carver grinned as his shoulders surrounded the remaining group, who could not fight them without ammo. Carlos could not even take them all on his pistol. Howdy, folks. The three of Carver's soldiers surrounded Carlos, Walter, Matthew, Sarita, Luke, and Pete in a circle. All three of Carver's men did not look familiar to them, all except one of them, who Walter immediately recognized. His second eyes met her. Where's Rebecca? Carver asked Carlos. Carver! Rebecca gasped watching the whole entire thing at the window. Carlos did not reveal her location. Instead, he spat on his face, refusing to cooperate. Well, it's nice to see you, Carver sarcastically replied, wiping the spit from his face, and curled his hand into a fist. Seconds later, he hit Carlos directly in the face, almost knocking him down. Dad! Sarah panicked, immediately running towards the exit of the ski lodge. Sarah! Rebecca gasped, but was not able to do anything to stop her. Sarah, stop! Lee ordered, but he was not quick enough to catch up when she was already gone. Sarah ran outside the ski lodge, completely ignoring the danger ahead. She embraced her and her father in the hug and returned to his daughter. She hid from Carver as her father kept her arm around her as a protective manner. Carver looked towards the ski lodge where Sarah had run out from and pointed his fingers to it. Inside. As Carver's people moved everyone inside, Walter turned towards another soldier and was shocked to see someone he knew. It's you! Bonnie showed a sad and regretful expression on her face for a moment, but she quickly shrugged it off before any of them noticed. Keep moving. Inside the ski lodge, Clementine, Alvin, and Rebecca slowly made their way upstairs. Lee gasped for a moment when Carver made his way inside and hid behind a couch for cover. Bonnie whistled as she observed the inside of the ski lodge, while everyone escorted the prisoners over to the end of the room. Look at this place. Near the other side of the room, Alvin, who was standing on the bottom of the stairs, gave a little signal for Lee to keep an eye on the man with the beanie hat, since he was heading near their way. He nodded carefully and leaned up towards the couch, keeping an eye on the man to spy on. You believe this place, Bonnie? He admitted, scanning around the area for the rest of them. Power and everything, a lot of windows. It's freaking huge. Bill's gonna hate it. The rest of them could be anywhere. While he was not looking, Alvin beckoned for Lee to make his way over to there for the chance. Lee quickly snuck over towards Alvin while the man wasn't looking. Now we were going to cover these guys. You look for them too? Johnny asked, looking towards people for the moment. Johnny, cover that back window, Bonnie ordered, turning her back towards Walter, and then looked her way. Back upstairs, Lee, Clementine, Rebecca, and Alvin crouched down as they silently discussed the plan. Lee had peeked their head up just for a moment, and all of his friends were being forced down on their knees, sitting in a row with their hands tied behind their backs, all except Carlos, that is. He watched in shock as Carly has also been captured, and he prayed that they would not hurt her. Now that everyone was secured, Carver carefully scanned the area for Rebecca, her being the reason he was there. He marched over to Carlos, grabbed him by his hair, and throwing him onto the middle of the room, he hit him in the stomach that knocked Carlos to his knees. Dad! Sarah gasped, unable to anything to assist her father. Listen, I'm only going to ask you once. Where's Rebecca? Carver asked, watching as Carlos coughed a couple of times while struggling to catch his breath. Carlos still refused to cooperate on what he do know, and looked towards his daughter, whom he could tell was dramatized by it. Sarah, look at me. It's going to be okay. Carver pulled Carlos up, grabbing his hair again, grabbing his right hand, and bent the middle finger back, in a flash, completely out of place. Carlos screamed in agony as he collapsed to the ground. Rebecca, our baby deserved to be raised in a place of safety, Carver called out, as he knew she was hiding somewhere. I knew you were out there, Rebecca, and Alvin, Luke, and that guy and the girl. It's really simple. You want this over real quickly? You all gotta play nice and show your faces. Don't hurt my dad, please, Sarah begged, crying tears out of her eyes. Despite Alvin being shocked by the news about the baby, he ignored it for now and got back to the situation at hand. He'll kill him. No, Alvin, Rebecca replied, already knowing that he was just gonna do it by looking into his eyes. We gotta go down there. Alvin suggested, showing a worried expression across his face. I can't do that, Rebecca refused, fearing that he would kill her husband without mercy. Beck, the baby. You need a doctor, Alvin reminded, needing Carlos to help deliver the baby when it's time. No, where's Luke and Lily? Rebecca asked, only realizing those two amongst the prisoners downstairs. How the hell am I supposed to know? Alvin replied. They're still outside, Rebecca reminded, realizing that their only hope was to get a way out of this. They can help us. We have to help Carlos, Clementine admitted. She's right, Lee agreed, unable to imagine what would happen if they did not do something soon. The only way to help him is to do what the man says, Alvin explained. What about Luke and Lily? Rebecca asked, repeating the same suggestion again. Look at those guns, Alvin told her, noticing the automatic rifles made them powerful and dangerous to take head on. We start shooting, these people are going to do on both sides. Carver then grabbed another of Carlos' fingers, and without hesitation, he broke back out of place, merely watching Carlos cry in agony. Ah! Dad! Sarah screamed, not able to watch her father suffer like this. Lee, Clem, can sneak out, find Luke, Rebecca suggested, noticing a nearby open window, big enough for Clementine to squeeze through. What the hell is she gonna do? Alvin asked, unsure if Clementine would assist them, much to her being a little girl. And you heard him. Carver knows she and Lee are with us. Just stop, Sarah begged, but her pleas were no use. Don't hurt my dad, please. Alvin was unable to watch his friend suffer anymore. We're going down there. They'll kill you, Rebecca said, knowing how cruel Carver would be. Look, guys, Lee was cut off by the sound of Carlos's words. Screw you, Carlos swore, practically begging for anyone there just to kill him to end his training. Shoot him! Somebody just shoot! Carver grabbed the back of Carlos's hair and pulled him right back, held a knife against his head, preparing to end unless Rebecca came out. Rebecca then turned her attention towards Clementine, needing her to go get Luke and Lily now. Clem, go get help! He'll kill him, Beck, Alvin argued. He'll do it anyway, Rebecca clashed, thinking there was nothing they could do to help him. You don't know that. Say goodbye, Carlos, Carver said, preparing to slice his throat open so he would suffer before dying. Don't look, sweetie, Carlos told his daughter, not wanting to witness what was going to happen next. Don't look. Dad! Sarah stuttered slightly, as she could not take her eyes away no matter how hard she tried. Clementine looked both back at Rebecca and Alvin while they were arguing what to do. She had to get help, otherwise Lily and Luke might return and run into a trap. I'll find Luke and Lily. Stay here. All right, Clem, Lee sighed, knowing it was their only option to sneak help. Go, but be careful. God damn it, Alvin sighed, fearing that they just made a huge mistake. Carver pulled Carlos back further. He had not yet killed him, but he did not mean he was going to spare him. You never listen, he mumbled. Lee opened up a small window for Clementine to go through, and although he did not want her to go out there on her own, he decided to help her the best he could. Hurry, Clem. Let's see if I can get your attention, Carlos said, beginning to torture Carlos until he further coaxed Rebecca out of hiding. Clementine jumped down from the window and quietly made her way out of the cabin. She peeked through one of the boarded-up windows and cringed at the witness, Carver, hitting Carlos and hearing Sarah sob in sadness. She leaned back up carefully and made her way around the ski lodge, and she made her way to the corner of the building and was relieved to see Lily in some kind of booth, aiming her rifle towards the ski lodge window. Luke, however, was not present with her. Clementine! Lily called out to her in a yelling whisper. Clementine began to make her way over to her, but suddenly froze when she could see known man as Johnny walked over to the large windows. She quickly reacted by leaning back as much as she could. Fortunately, he did not see her and turned around back to the window and began complaining about the weather instead. God damn it, it's dark. I can't see a frickin' thing. Clementine then finally made it out to the other side of the ski lodge and looked back for a moment when she heard Carlos crying out in pain as Carlos continued to torture him more. She quickly ran over towards Lily, who stood up for a moment to greet her. You all right, Clementine? Where's Luke? Clementine inquired, noticing that he was not here or nowhere to be seen. I don't know, Lily admitted, getting back to his sniping position. We got separated in our way to this transformer, and I thought he would be with you guys. The two looked back over at the ski lodge when Carlos' screaming had stopped. Did Carver finally put him out of his misery? They looked inside to see Rebecca and Alvin finally surrounded themselves to Carver, unable to be responsible for Carlos' suffering any longer. Carver shoved Carlos to the ground, raised a gun. When Rebecca had arrived, she placed his hand against her cheek. "Screw you, Bill," Rebecca swore at him. "Looks like they got everyone," Lily admitted, stating the obvious was it trying to figure out a plan. "Clem, who are those people?" She aimed down her rifle, aiming at the man with the beanie hat. "I think I could shoot that one, if he just moves a little bit more to the left." "I don't know, maybe we should find Luke," Clementine suggested. "There is no time," Lily clashed, staring down at the barrel of her rifle. Preparing to open fire on them, she pulled the trigger with a good aim. She hit Johnny directly on his forehead. "I got him!" Inside the ski lodge, Sarah screamed when upon hearing the gunshot, and their enemies watched in the look of horror when a moment of seeing one of theirs die. In anger, Carver marched his way over to the group of hostage, forced Walter up to his feet, placing his arm around his neck and forcing him over towards the window. He shoved Walter onto the floor and pulled out his python and preparing to murder him. Walter knew this was going to be the end. Eyed the photo frame near that was a picture of him and Matthew a long time ago. He leaned up for a moment, but collapsed onto the ground when Carver had shot him directly at the back of his skull, avenging him for the death of his soldier. "No!" Carlos screamed. "Walter!" Lily gasped, shocked to see what she had just done that caused the death of a man who helped her survive. She growled and aimed her gun at the second time, unable to get Carver in her sights. "Carver, you cover behind me and the wooden support beam's python holstered," calling out to Lily as he prepared to fire his case. "That's for our man. Now, I didn't want to do this, but you all ain't leaving me much of a choice. So here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna march one of your friends out here, and I'm gonna put a bullet in the back of their head, or you can give up now. Your choice." The only response Carver got was another shot from Lily that hit the wooden support beam that was covering behind them. "Bastard," Lily growled, cocking her little rifle back and firing another shot that hit the support beam again. Carver mainly flinched a little in response, and he made his way over to the prisoners, preparing to take one of them more in hostage, in an attempt to coax them out of hiding. Clementine realized that she was not going to be able to get another shot from the position, and spotted another covering position they could use. "Lily, over there!" The two ran over where Clem was pointing and jumping into a small circle that was surrounded by a metal fence for cover. "Hi, Alvin," Carver greeted, forcing Alvin to stand to his feet as he marched towards the window. "Bill, no!" Rebecca begged, attempting to stop him from using her husband as hostage, but was held back by Troy. "Tell her to stop! Lily, stop!" "Alvin!" Rebecca gasped. "Alvin!" Clementine gasped, seeing that Carver forced Alvin towards the window where Johnny had been shot, unaware that Lily had changed her sniper position. "Damn it, I think it's a tough shot," Lily admitted, trying to get a good aim at him without hitting Alvin. She asked Clementine for an advice, as she was quite as smart in situations like this. "What do you think, Clementine?" "I think I got a shot." "Shoot," Clementine ordered, suspecting that this might be their only way to save everyone, especially Lee. Lily closed her eyes and fired a single shot, and as luck would have it, she managed to hit Carver, and he collapsed to the ground. There was silence for a moment as the prisoners merely watched, as Bonnie and Troy watched in shock, their leader's possible death. All of a sudden, Carver's eyes had wide open as he stood back up, holding his free hand on to where Lily had managed to hit him. Lily panicked as she saw him stand back up, in an attempt to finish him off, but her gun didn't fire. She quickly tried to reload before Carver took anyone else hostage. That must cost her dearly. Carver clutched his shoulder back without hesitation, fired his python, hitting Alvin directly on his forehead. His expression did not show any remorse for killing him. Instead, he marched back over towards the prisoners to continue his work. "No, Alvin!" Rebecca screamed, crying heavily as she fell down to her knees. "Alvin!" Carlos gasped. unable to imagine how Rebecca was feeling right now. Rebecca, just don't look. Don't look. Oh my god. Oh my god. The next victim to be taken out hostage was Carly. Carver never forced and marched up towards the window, but she knew that Lily was hiding. Don't you frickin' touch her, Lee shouted at the top of his lungs, trying to get up to attack him, but Bonnie forced him back down. Carver stopped when he was close to the window, and he yelled at Carly at gunpoint. I could keep this up all night. Lily's expression changed, seeing that Carver had taken Carly for hostage, and for the sake of Lee, she may decide it was time to give up, realizing there was nothing more she could do to save them. She had only just earned Lee's trust back, and to get responsible for Carly's death might break their trust forever. We're coming out, she declared, tossing her rifle aside and moving off from her sniper position. The duo surrounded as they walked towards the ski lodge, where Bonnie was waiting for them. She kicked the door open and aimed her AK-47 at them. Let's go. Clementine and Lily were tied up and forced down to their knees with the rest of the group, and now they were captured, unable to do anything. Carver was still smart enough to notice someone else was missing. Where's Luke? Carver inquired, marching up and down with his hands placed on his hips. He did not get an answer from anyone, and assumed that he ran away. Finally cut and run, huh? Why am I not surprised? I warned you. You try not to follow him, and look where he's led you. But you're safe here. We're going home. As a family. He continued speaking, with him marching towards Rebecca, who was still crying over the death of her husband. Carver walked over next to the exit of the ski lodge, the remaining survivors gazed upon. He ordered the people to take them with him. All right, round them up. We're heading back to the camp. Each of the prisoners were forced onto their feet, one by one with it being held at gunpoint. Lee was the last one to be still there, as he watched sadness moments before Bonnie forced him onto his feet, placing him with the others as they escorted them back to their camp.